Hello everyone and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7 and back once again to Sport Mode. We are here today at Dragon Trail Gardens for the final round of the World Series Manufacturers Championship and this is going to be a very interesting one. Interesting memories of this circuit, the circuit experience that I did way back at the beginning of the game. Trying to get gold in that was very tough, so I've never forgotten a single detail about this circuit ever since. I've done so many laps just from that alone. So, you know, it is a track I know very well, so I'm hoping to have a solid day of racing here. And there is a few things at stake as well in terms of just championship points. If we can, you know, score, let's say, a decent chunk of points in this race, we could just about squeeze into the top 25%. Of the Dodge manufacturer rankings, which would be really cool if we managed to do that. But anyway, warm-up completed. We don't even get time to really even do a lap in warm-up. It's a bit redundant. But anyway, I was trying to take a look at the weather radar there because there is rain around for this race. But unfortunately, didn't quite get a chance to look at that properly. But anyway, we get into qualifying now. And, well, actually, before we even get into qualifying, we're going to start with the best lap I was able to achieve throughout any of the races and time trials that I did. This is actually qualifying for the second race, which we will not be discussing any further in this video. But I did have 3 attempts at this one. So yeah, there's plenty to come in this video. But anyway, we get a nice run through that tricky chicane section. Can be very difficult because if you hit those curves in the wrong way, they will send your car flying into the air. But anyway, into the hairpin now. Try and get late on the brakes, don't turn in too early. That's something I have been doing quite a lot. But anyway, we carry nice enough speed through there. And now into the flowing corners. Get a little bit tripped up on that curb, but I don't think that would have cost us too much. Missed the apex there, so there's still plenty of room for improvement on this lap. But we carry decent speed out of the exit there and down into the quadruple right-hander that just never seems to end. Trying to judge the speed accurately through this corner to get the most out of the car is very difficult. There's a tiny bit of extra road we can use on the outside as well, and we did that, and now we head down towards the final couple of corners. The best way to go into these corners is absolutely full send and pretend you're going to get a rubbish exit, because the next one comes up at a really awkward time where it's you know, that sort of thing where you don't really know whether to treat it as 1 or 2 corners, but if you go full send and take a very sort of earlier apex into the first one, you can get through there a lot more smoothly and just treat it like 1 corner, which is ideal. But anyway, we now get into our actual qualifying for this race. Incidentally, for that second race, that lap did put us second on the grid, but like I said, we're not talking about that. So let's get into qualifying and see what kind of lap we can put in this session. Our first lap wasn't great. It was a 1 minute 44. You know, I'm hoping to get down maybe 41s, 42s would be ideal, but we'll see how it goes. So into the chicane, and probably a little bit too much compromise there, a little bit too hard to the left hand side. Didn't carry as much speed through turn 2 as we probably could have, as we now run down towards the hairpin. Absolutely nothing corner there on a straight. We ignore that, go straight ahead down to the hairpin, late on the brakes, and there you can see I turned in much earlier that time. It does mean we you know, sort of can guarantee the apex, and there's a lot of inside curb to be used there, but yeah, that's probably still not quite at the optimal line. Still, we work our way through the lap, getting through this section fairly nicely. Bit of understeer there, and just trying to you know, keep up the rolling speed and make sure we maximize all the exit space on all the corners there. Now into the never-ending right-hander. Missed the first apex there, which is not ideal. but we'll see if we can keep it on a steady line throughout the rest as we exit out onto the straight and under these couple of bridges. We will soon find out what this lap time will do for us. We're currently sitting down in 9th position, so we do need to improve by probably a few seconds if we want to get any kind of meaningful position for the start of this one as we head towards the line. The finish line is a long way along the straight, and it's going to be in the 42s, so definitely still more time out there, but it's not too bad, and that will put us P6 on the grid. So yeah, I'm not too disappointed by that. Yeah, just wasn't the best race or the best session, but yeah, it's not so bad. We can work with this. A few rated drivers in this as well, and we are qualified, a couple of them, so I guess that is a good sign. But yeah, let's see what comes in the race itself. But as we skip on to the end of the session, not much changes for us. We're still P6, no one able to improve ahead. So yeah, we'll be P6 on the grid officially now, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Probably not as good as I wanted, but we'll see. We'll have another look at the weather radar to see what the rain looks like heading into this race. We do have to wait for that little line at the top to scroll all the way across to see what the weather will sort of look like at the start of the race, and as we eventually get there, the rain is coming and is just off to the east. So yeah, there definitely could be rain coming in the race, which would make things very interesting. No required pit stop for this one, so there's another difference between here and the Bathurst race. Also, quickly of note, we do have Broccoli in this race, who was quite quick at Bathurst, but all the other drivers I've never seen before. Let's get into it. World Series Manufacturers Cup Final 2023/24 Exhibition Series Season 2 Round 4 Dragon Trail Gardens. Alrighty, so here we are on the grid at Dragon Trail. Let's have a little run through the starting order, and we'll see where everyone will start this race. On pole position we have F1 Gamer 3311. Starting P2 we have Aussie Dan, and in third position we have Cussle Max 33, and in fourth position we have Broccoli 310. Starting in P5 we have Haid 1901, and in P6 we have myself, McPlayer 8T. Starting in P7 we have Cyberero, and in P8 we have Say One, and in 9th position we have Dun SE, and in P10 we have Resident Evil 9. Starting in P11 we have Nana0915, and in P12 we have Mame Kame, and in P13 we have Nyon, and starting in P14 we have Blue 15. So we have the number 3 on our car for this one, so we'll see if we can get a podium. I'm not sure. I don't think we have that kind of pace. It can't be the numbers can't be dependent on DR, because there's 3 D-rated drivers and we're E-rated, so it's definitely not that. So I'm still not sure what those numbers mean. But anyway, let's see how this race goes as we get rolling towards the first corner. We're away for the race at Dragon Trail, and it's well, it's the same kind of start for everyone, really. That's what happens when you have a rolling start. but as we head down towards the first corner, we'll see if we can make any progress as we are closing into the back of the Supra in front, holding a bit of a narrower line than all of them, and that works for us very well as we're able to make that move, stick down the inside. Not quite able to finish the move though, as we're just a little bit cautious on the inside line, and now over the curb, and that is the trouble with those tall curbs there. That costs us a position in the end. So Cyberero gets past, and now we are heavily under fire as we have a look down the inside. Bit of contact as we couldn't quite get that stopped, but thankfully no spinach out of that one, and we remain in P7, and the Aston Martin in front is able to hold on. But yeah, that was a little bit of an awkward moment, but thankfully we both got away with it, and it was only very light contact in the end. But we've got a good run here as we head towards the never-ending right-hander. So let's see if we can do anything as we try and nail as many of these apexes as possible. The Aston Martin's wide, we squeeze down the inside, bit of contact on the way through, but I think that was a fair enough move, and we're up one more position back to where we started in P6. So we're able to recover from that, and now we'll see if we can push further forwards throughout the rest of this race. Unfortunately for this race, I forgot to save the replay, so there isn't too much to show, you know, for everyone else's races. But yeah, you'll still of course be seeing my onboards, and there will be a replay for the other race later on in the video. But anyway, we begin to catch up to the Supra, who's a little bit all over the place through the chicane. I've done that one plenty of times. We get a good run on the exit though, and we pass Hayde along the run down towards the hairpin, and that moves us up into 5th position. So running well here so far in this race. Let's see if we can close in to the back of Broccoli, who does not have the same pace that they did at Bathurst. So yeah, it looks like we are pretty strong here at Dragon Trail, and we should be able to make a little bit of further progress up the field, provided we can maintain the consistency, which is the big thing. Broccoli getting away a little bit through that sequence of corners, but through these long right-handers, are we going to be able to pull anything back? Maybe a little bit, but it's all sort of relative. You can very easily, you know, gain early in the corner and lose out later in the corner, or vice versa, if you just take a slightly different line to the car in front. But anyway, as we continue on, bit of a wide moment there for us, and now we are under fire, I think, as we run side by side, and the Supra there getting through, and Hayde is back in front. So yeah, good move there. I didn't want to fully run side by side through that whole S section, so I let that one go, and we can just push on once again, and just stay behind in the slipstream, and hopefully get a little bit of a tow along. But I don't know how much of an effect that's going to be. Hayde seems to have better pace now that they've you know, started to reduce their mistakes. So we continue, and into the hairpin we go as Hayde makes the move on the GTR in front. Nicely done there, and that may give us an opportunity if these two begin to squabble amongst themselves. We'll see, as the GTR's thinking and thinking and thinking about a move back down the inside as we try to close into this little battle. And we do have a good run here. We're not going to be close enough to do anything at the chicane, but we are right with this lot now. So yeah, we'll see if we can potentially make a move towards the hairpin. Got a little bit tripped up on the inside curb there. That's going to cost us potentially the momentum that we needed. So we're going to be sitting behind for a little bit longer as we're in the slipstream of the GTR, and the Supra begins to get away as we head into the braking zone. A little peek to the inside. There's never really going to be an overtake to be made there though, and we remain behind once again. But you know, now I think to potentially the final corner, if we can stay close enough through these flowing corners. This is where I've been struggling the most, is with this series of corners. The GTR using a lot more of the road there and getting a better run through there, as they're right on the back of the Supra once again. So this battle is ebbing and flowing for sure, as there's a wide line there, but gets alongside the Supra, not able to keep it there, as we still remain behind the pair of them. So yeah, we just don't have the pace unless they really start to fight once again, as the GTR goes for the move around the outside. Not really going to find anything to do there though, as we exit the final corner, and we are starting to lose touch. So potentially P6 is all we're able to do in this one. We'll see what happens as we work our way through the chicane once again, and oh, that's a bit of a trip over the curb there, and that might be the final straw in our race. I don't think that's the correct term, the correct time to use that phrase, but anyway, we continue on, and Broccoli actually pits. There's no required pit stop in this race, so this will be a good test to see whether a pit stop is worthwhile. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. But as we continue on to the end of the race, Broccoli never catches up, so that pit stop did not pay dividends. That means we take P5. We were kind of handed that, otherwise I don't think we would have had the pace. The tyre wear on our car was just too much at the end, and we just couldn't match it with those in front. So yeah, I don't think I could have got much more out of that one. That's really the best I could do. Broccoli does bring it home for P6, so only lost one position out of that pit stop, so not too bad. And they do get a 1 second penalty though. That wouldn't be anything related to the pit stop. They probably just took a shortcut somewhere on the final lap. But yeah, it was fairly clean race from from the drivers around me at least. But I can't say for sure what everyone else was up to. But yeah, a decent one, and I was happy with that result. It was a clean race, a strong race, and we finished P5. But I couldn't help thinking that maybe with a little bit more practice, I might be able to do a little bit better. So I decided to go again. There's the points, by the way. For P5 we get 9 points, a lower points scoring race than the previous one at Bathurst. So that was also part of the reason I decided to go again, because Bathurst, I think the winner was getting 14 points. So I thought if I could have a race like that, we wouldn't have to do as well and still get more points than what we did in that one. That was a very low scoring race. So yeah, that was the decision making process. To finally cover off what happened in race 2, it was a disaster. Everything went wrong. I forgot how to drive. I tried to make a pit stop to see if that strategy would work, and we ended up down in like P11 or something by the end. It was horrible. So there's literally nothing to show from that race. And again, I forgot to save the replay, so I can't even show the funny stuff. But for this final race, I did save the replay, and we'll be looking in depth into this one. This is the one, being the last race I did, that will actually count towards our points. So this is the critical one that we need to get right. So without further ado, it is time we get into it. We leave the track for warm-up just to see if we can get any amount of time in, and then literally a moment later I think we're going to be sent back, because there's only a few seconds of warm-up left. So yeah, it's a little bit silly. We were slightly late going onto the track, but still there's no way you'd even finish an outlap in the warm-up session. But anyway, weather does not play a factor in the race. Like I said, this is attempt 3, and in the previous 2 the rain never actually fell on the circuit. It was just sort of in the area but didn't do anything. So yeah, that is basically where we stand heading into this one. After the previous race I have 7 points as opposed to the 9 I got from the first, so you know, ideally I want to get back to 9 or better, but at least improving on 7, or you know, not losing any more at the very, very least, is the target. So we head into qualifying then. We'll see what kind of lap time we can produce this time around as we head into the chicane. Probably one of the trickier parts of the circuit to get right. We may have carried a touch too much speed in there, tripped over the curb on the third apex, and that cost us a little bit of time as we are tucked in behind the Ferrari. Hopefully they don't get in our way throughout the lap. They actually move to the inside. We're going to sweep it all the way around the outside on our qualifying lap, and a bit of contact there as we're both you know, squabbling away, trying to do the best we can. So yeah, we've put ourselves in traffic, which is not ideal, but we get a nice switch back through here. That is beautiful, and we get through on the Ferrari, and that didn't you know, hold us up too much in the end. So now we swing it right through the many right-handers here. I would hate to be a left front tyre through this section of the circuit, but we exit the corner quite nicely, and now we have a whole bunch of clear track as we head up towards the final corner, or is it 2 corners? I'm not sure. We tip it in though, take the apex, run it out fairly wide, get it tucked in for the second apex. It's so satisfying when you do get that right, out onto the exit curb and along towards the finish line. It's once again a long run to the finish, and we're going to do again a lap time in the 42s, a 42.59 at that time. So yeah, still room for improvement. We'll see if we can do anything on the second flyer, but yeah, it's going to be a decent starting position. We've already sort of got that banker lap in, so we'll push a little bit harder on this one, bouncing off the curb though, and that is going to ruin the lap. Big slide on the exit, and yeah, that is game over. I probably, you know, in retrospect could have continued the lap, but yeah, if we did improve, it would have only been marginal, because that ruins our whole run along the straight. So I decided to just pull over, let everyone else continue on their laps, and we will eventually move around to take the flag, and we'll see where our lap puts us as we come out of the final corner. A whole bunch of cars in front of us now, it doesn't matter. You can see we've already been on this lap for more than 2 minutes, so this is not going to be breaking any records. But anyway, we are going to end up P7 for this one, so very similar to the previous one. We do have Charles Leclerc in this race, who we also saw back at Bathurst, won at Bathurst in fact, so we can watch out for them being very quick. But anyway, that is qualifying wrapped up here at Dragon Trail, as I think just about everyone has completed their laps. So yeah, that is where we're going to be starting P7, and we have once again some work to do. We have actually a few more D-rank drivers in this one, and a few people with lower sportsmanship ratings, which always can be concerning, but that is not necessarily representative of how well they drive. That there's a few other things that you know, can factor into sportsmanship. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go around taking everyone out. So let's see how this goes. We get 12 points for the win in this one, so a little bit higher. If we want to get our 9 points back, which is my main target, we have to be in the top 8. So we'll keep that in mind. Top 6, we can improve on our initial points, and if we get into the top 11, that will just be maintaining what we have, 7 points at the moment after the failure that was race 2. But let's not discuss that anymore. Looking at the weather radar once again, there is nothing to report really. It's just going to be exactly the same as the previous one. Nothing for quite a while, and then right before the race begins, the clouds begin to come over, bringing the rain, but not enough to be concerned about. World Series Manufacturers Cup Final 2023/24 Exhibition Series Season 2 Round 4 Dragon Trail Gardens. Alrighty, so here we go. Attempt number 3, this time with replays. So let's see how this goes. Let's go before the starting grid. It'll be Charles Leclerc starting on pole position in the Mazda. Starting at P2, we have the Renault of Dragon Get Lost. In third position, we have Ryu Minato, at least that's what Google Translate said. Then we have Red Bull Mark V. Then we have Dolt. Starting in P6, we have Numpty, another Viper. In P7, we have myself, the 2 Vipers in a row. And starting in P8, we have GMR Ebsust, also known as Duffman. In P9, we have McQueen. Starting in P10, we have Concheesy, again according to Google Translate. P11 we have Larry, and starting in P12 we have Ciparella, and in P13 we have Dags, and starting down in P14 we have Nana0915, and starting in P15 we have Cameo. And that is the grid as we head into this one. So let's see how this goes as we get ready to go. That GTR behind us is absolutely covered in Simpsons references. Obviously the major sponsor is Duff, but it's also got Mr. Plow, it's got Moe's Tavern and the Quickie Mart. It's got a bunch of different things on it, which is really cool. So we'll see how much they feature in this race, but let's focus on the start as the countdown begins and we get racing for the final race here at Dragon Trail. And we see it in the slipstream of our Viper friend as we head down towards the first corner, and we'll see if either of us can bring home a good result for Dodge here at the final round. So as we now head into the chicane, not much going on through the first corner. Cars in front starting to ghost into each other as we're probably a little cautious through there. The McLaren losing out. That is Dolt, who we've got a good run on, and the Supra there as well. Red Bull struggling on the left hand side, bit of a collision back there into the barrier. Hope I didn't cause that, potentially with a bit of lag, I'm not sure, as we go for the move down the inside of Dolt. Nice and clean there, and we get the job done. Meanwhile, the GTRs getting involved. Where did they come from? So there's actually quite a lot going on this first lap. It's an angry little battle pack as we begin to work our way through the flowing corners, still in tow of the other Viper. They go a bit wide. That gives us a good run as we head towards the quadruple right-hander. We have a little peak to the inside. Nothing we can really do there though. A bit too much or not enough of a braking zone to really go for an overtake as we go to the inside. The Viper goes wide. We're going to try and sneak to the inside as they spin across the road. Thankfully they ghost, and we're able to go through as they recover, but that was a tense little moment there as the 2 Vipers almost collided at that moment, but thankfully we got away with it. And with all that, we're up into 4th position just by keeping it clean and making a neat overtake on the first lap. But we will start to look at a few replays. What was going on further back in the field? A lot of cars here, and one of them didn't make it around the first corner. That is Pirella finding the wall and having to rejoin in the Ferraris. That's a little unfortunate mistake there. And further up the road, the Mercedes there, Cameo, sailing through the air and hard into the barrier. But that was some good airtime for that Mercedes. They get going again. but they've lost quite a bit of time. Here's the onboard with the Mercedes, and didn't look quite as dramatic on board actually, but still a hard hit into the wall. There's me bouncing over the curbs as we're on board with Duffman here, and a little bit of a look to the inside, and just kind of pit maneuvered the Toyota there, and just a bit aggressive, going for a gap that wasn't really there. Probably just sort of backed out of that one, then full send down the inside, and just about well, yeah, couldn't quite actually make that move. Dolt gets back through as well, so that really didn't work for Duffman, and all he really achieved out of that is a half spin and taking out the Toyota, as he goes now full send down the inside. Oh, but too deep out into the sand. Loses it, catches it, loses it into the barrier, and it's not been a good first lap. Just a bit too aggressive from the GTR. Clearly they've got pace as McQueen gets down the inside. Switch back to the inside, not quite going to get there, and McQueen will have the run. So yeah, a messy first lap for the GTR as we look to Numpty, as Numpty made that mistake, just catching the grass on the outside there, and finding the barrier on the inside. Oh, that's a little bit awkward there, putting the McLaren into the wall. So that's a little bit of whoopsie there as well, as behind there is a battle playing out. Supra going a little bit wide as he goes side by side with the GTR, and they're getting into each other. They're bumping along the straight. The GTR trying to move the Supra across the road as they race down towards the first corner. They're about to the middle now as the GTR is continuing to push, and he's gone. GTR into the barrier. That is Duffman. Heavy contact into both barriers, left and right. Gets out of it and gets moving again, but has dropped into 14th position. That is an absolute disaster and a bit unnecessary, I have to say. Just trying to continue, pushing the Toyota to the inside. There was plenty of space on the right, but he continued to try and force that Toyota across, as off the road there goes Nana, and is down in 14th position at the final corner. But yeah, that was a little bit silly between the GTR and the Toyota. I don't know if they've got some pre-existing rivalry, but it's clear they do not like each other, coming together twice in the first lap and a bit. Meanwhile, we are looking at McQueen working away at the back of the field, trying to make some progress, and that's a nice bit of a little move there, as it's getting a little bit tight on the exit, but is now looking to make the move on Dags, and should be able to do so down towards the first corner, although Dags has the straight line speed and will maintain the position for now, as McQueen is right on the back of Dags here through the sweeping left hand and now into the chicane. Anything they can do here? McQueen trying a different line there, didn't really work, missed the apex, and has still a bit of work to do, but good run on the exit as they head down towards the hairpin. Oh, Dags has gone a spin, full 360 and a bit into the barriers, and that is another spin in a straight line, and there goes Duffman making the move potentially down the inside of the Ferrari. Now goes for it and gets past Pirella, and that's a bit messy, but gets the job done, and moves up another position and begins the recovery from that spin in a straight line. Meanwhile, on board with myself once again, we haven't seen this view for a while. We are working away on the back of the Japanese driver in the McLaren in front of us. So let's see if we can make this move. We have, I think, marginally better pace. A bit of a mistake there. We're not in a very good position to really capitalize on that. We didn't find a way through, but we definitely have a good enough pace to make this move into third position. We just need to find the right opportunity. So as we continue on, we'll see if we can do anything better, but we hop over the curbs too much and get ourselves a penalty. So that's not ideal, and we're going to lose a bit of time out of that. Meanwhile, we look back to Red Bull, who is now making the move on Dolt and gets the move done down the inside into the hairpin, or maybe not. Dolt quite late on the brakes there, and Red Bull being very respectful. Plenty of space between them, and they will continue to battle on as they head towards these flowing corners, and they're going to try going side by side. Dolt not giving up. Red Bull's definitely got the pace, but being very courteous, but Dolt is absolutely fighting for this one, and these two getting very, very close together into each other there as they turn ghost. A little bit silly to watch, but it is there for a reason. But Red Bull manages to get through, literally, and makes the move up into the top 5. So plenty of pace in that Toyota. We'll have to start looking in our mirrors very soon. Meanwhile, the charge continues for Duffman, who makes the move down the inside, takes P10 away from Larry. As we look further up the road, that is McQueen, who's been fighting back in this one, and that's a loss of the rear end into the barrier for the Mercedes. That's unfortunate, and we'll lose a bit of time out of that one. Runs in 8th position as around the outside goes Duffman, and a spin, complete 360 or 180 there, reverse for Cheesy in the Lamborghini, and we'll lose some massive positions, and we'll drop to the back into currently P13. I think Nana still runs down in last position, but these two are getting into each other as well. Further up the road, Pirella and Dags fighting it out. A little bit further up again, we have the GTR once again trying to make an overtake. Now down the inside of McQueen, contact, and McQueen goes round into the barriers for the Mercedes, and a lot of smoke and dust coming out of that car. McQueen gets going again, and then promptly retires from the race. He's on board with Duffman, and I don't think this is going to be too pretty. Completely just understeers into McQueen there, and had all the time in the world to react to that one. So yeah, another clumsy incident for the GTR, and well, that's a bit of a moment over the curbs there. Lucky to save that one, but here's the on board with McQueen, and went a little bit wide, and then just had nothing to do with that incident really. Just a passenger was already on the edge of the road, and Duffman made the contact. In some ways it's actually a bit similar to the incident I had with Tag back at Bathurst, which is a whole other story, but anyway, we continue on as we again sort of missed the opportunity as the McLaren in front made a mistake in the chicane, but we just couldn't capitalize on it. And now we are starting to look in both directions, because I know that Supra is quite quick and catching up, so we will have to potentially let them go at some point. How is our Viper friend going? Making the move down the inside of Dolt, and getting it done as they run side by side, and this is into the quadruple right-hander, and Numpty going all the way around the outside. That is fantastic, and gets the move done. So it's a splendid move in the other Viper, and takes that position. Meanwhile, we have the Supra of Red Bull going down the inside, and we're going to try to fight this as best we can on the outside line, but we just don't have the grip to match it with the Supra right now. And the Supra gets through, and we drop down into P5. So we can still come away with a good result out of this one. Remember, I said the target is, I think, top 8 to regain our points we got from the first race. Top 6 will mean we can, I think, score 10 points. So, we're still in a very good position here, as down the inside goes Red Bull on the McLaren, and gets through, and we'll take that position. So the Supra absolutely flying, and I presume we'll be taking off into the distance now, and we'll leave the two of us to scrap it out for 4th position, though the McLaren certainly not letting go as they head into the quadruple right-hander once again, and full send down the inside, bit of contact and a bit of a moment there, and we may have an opportunity here. Can we get the run on the exit as we're right behind the Supra? Can we do anything here as we head towards the final few corners, sitting in the slipstream, and we're just sort of dropping back a little bit. We didn't get the best exit, and unfortunately we're not quite close enough as they run side by side. Are we going to be able to do anything on the exit, trying to carry the speed here? But again, just not a good enough exit. The Supra is back through, and that's really the end of the story, I think, as we work our way through the chicane once again. Bad run through there, mistake from myself, and that's going to leave us exposed to Numpty, who makes the move up into P6, P5 rather. We're down into P6, as we've also got Dolt behind us in the other McLaren, so plenty going on here, and this is now a 5-way fight for third position. This is a pretty crazy one, and it has been relatively clean so far. A few little bumps between cars, and of course the GTR Duffman in GTR's had a bit of a messy one, but between us lot, it's all been pretty good as the McLaren goes wide. And do we finally have an opportunity here? We've got a run, and we're going to try and look to the outside as they cover, and we just don't find a way through. We sort of wobble off the road awkwardly, and unfortunately that is going to end our hopes at the moment. There's the GTR. Where did they come from? They were miles behind. They were spinning off the road at the end of the first lap on the straight, losing countless seconds, and all of a sudden they're making the move around the outside as we barely get it stopped for the final two corners, and we actually completely forced the GTR off the road there. That was terrible on my part. I don't feel so bad after watching the way they were driving, but yeah, that was not good. We'll see this move though down the inside of Dolt in the McLaren through the quadruple right-hander, and yeah, Duffman sitting in the slipstream makes the move to the outside. You know, this is all fair, and yeah, just you know, firstly couldn't quite get it stopped for the first apex, and then you know, I knew they were on the outside, but I kind of didn't imagine they'd still be there. The tyre grip they must have to be able to drive it around the outside like that. I wish I had those tyres, I'll just say that, because my tyre wear is awful in the Viper. You know, seems to get worse throughout the race. Meanwhile, the Japanese driver in the McLaren makes a pit stop, going for that strategy, so we'll see how that plays out. They emerge in 9th position, so they do have some work to do if they want to make that strategy pay off. But anyway, we have a look further down the field, and you know, to those running a little further back. But let's focus on the leader, Charles Leclerc, for a very brief moment. Doing a great job out in front. Running in 2nd position, Dragon Get Lost in the Renault, same positions they started. They still maintain them. In 3rd position, Red Bull's starting to pull away from the rest of us, and then it is Numpty in the Viper, myself in the other Viper, and then Dolt and the big GTR of Duffman starting to catch up once again. Goes for the move, aggressive again down the inside, rattling on the way past, and makes that move on the McLaren, and moves up into P6, and will very soon be P5. We did force them off the road earlier, so here I actually put the blinker on and gave that position back because yeah, that was not great driving on my part at this point a lap or two ago. So yeah, we allowed that one to go, and we'll hopefully be able to maintain P6. That is the goal, because that would be 10 points if we are able to do that. Meanwhile, there is another close battle on track outside of the one from I guess 4th down to about 7th, as these two are getting into each other. See Pirella and Dags are fighting away for the final place in the top 10. Ferrari versus McLaren there. Back on board with myself and I'm really starting to struggle with tyres at this point. We get a hit from the inside, that is Dolt going for the move and getting through. That was my fault. I knew Dolt was going for the move, but I decided to kind of just turn in anyway, just in case we were able to still make that apex. But yeah, I knew that was coming, so not upset about that one. Meanwhile, contact there and a bit of a spin, and Numpty manages to save it, but that GTR is still getting a little bit too aggressive and is now on the verge of taking 4th position. Contact again with the Viper and gets through on the inside. Numpty fights back, a little tap and a bit of a loss of the rear end there for the GTR, and Numpty manages to hold on. Great comeback there, and gets a little bit of payback against the GTR. Full send down the inside into the double left-hander, but runs wide, and Numpty manages to switch it back. Very well defended there, and manages to hold on to 4th position. Now heads the train as we begin the final lap of the race. The McLaren in tow as well as myself, a little bit off the back, but with these 3 all scrapping away, anything can happen. So let's see what does, as the McLaren's making the move down the inside and gets through, and that is going to make things infinitely easier for Numpty to hold on, potentially to P4 for the Dodgers, but oh, that's a bit of an awkward run through the chicane for the GTR there, and that is again just costing more time. Down in P6, P5 for Dolt in the McLaren, and these two have had a few run-ins with each other as well throughout this race. Is there going to be another one here? Down to the hairpin, a huge lunge down the inside for the GTR, and can he get a stop? No, and the McLaren's going to switch it back, and once again just too aggressive from the GTR and not able to get it stopped, and we've seen that quite a few times now in this race. There's really only a couple of opportunities left. Down the inside again, and this time just about gets things done properly, and a bit of contact on the way through, but I think that move was just about fair enough, and still on the aggressive side. Meanwhile, up the road, Charles Leclerc is going to cross the line to take a race victory for Mazda. Once again, a brilliant performance. P2 goes the way of Drag and Get Lost in the Renault, and then P3, a safe and steady drive from Red Bull in the Toyota, and will cross the line for 3rd position. Back to P4, Numpty, brilliant driving to hold on as Nana crosses the line a lap down. Then it's Duffman ahead of Dolt and myself. We just didn't have enough to chase down that lot in the end, but we were very, very close. Then we got Larry bringing it around the final corner, a little bit of an off there, and that could potentially give an opportunity to the car behind. There was another car in the background there, but Larry will bring it home in P8, P9 for Vio Minato, and P10 for Perella in the Ferrari. P11 missing out on the top 10 for Dags, and then further back we go to Conchisi in the Lamborghini, who is still heading up towards the final couple of corners. I think this is the last car on the lead lap. Didn't have an ideal race, and yeah, we'll unfortunately finish down in P12, and the only Lamborghini runner in the field will be the last driver on the lead lap. And that rounds out the finishes. But we'll have a little look at my onboard for the last corner. We didn't see this, but we were very close to the action as both cars in front ran a bit wide, but ultimately we never had an opportunity. And of course I was focused on the cars in front at the time. But anyway, P7 for us. That is good enough to get our 9 points back. So, you know, that's not bad. Everyone in front of us, bar the race leader, is D rank. So, you know, theoretically they're all faster drivers. I'm sure we could have got a top 5 with, you know, 1 or 2 less mistakes, you know, slightly better race pace, whatever. But we didn't have that, and P7 is where we finish. Great drive from Numpty and the other Viper to finish in P4 and to hold off that GTR. Not many could hold off that GTR. I believe that it was the second fastest car on track. with the exception of Charles Leclerc being the fastest. So the fact that they only managed to finish P5 is a little bit, I don't know. But anyway, we will swiftly move on from that and collect our points, our monies, and other things, and finish this one off. Because that is going to be it for this one. So there we have it. That is, where is it? P7, 9 points for this race. So yeah, we did well enough. We got back the points from our initial top 5 result in the first one, so that is all that really matters. But yeah, with that said, as you can see, I enjoyed that race at the time, being in the thick of the action, just at the wrong end of the train, but that's how it goes. But yeah, really fun race. As you can see, Duffman gets a decrease to sportsmanship rating, which is probably fitting, and so does Dags, strangely enough. Not sure why that is. But anyway, yeah. Not here usually to judge anyone's driving, but yeah, the GTRs was a bit ordinary. I mean, if you compare the race that Red Bull had in the Supra, you know, being cautious, keeping it clean, and, you know, bringing home 3rd place, you know, they were side by side at the end of the first lap when they came together. So, you know, had that not happened, the GTR probably would have been ahead and had better pace in general, I think, than the Supra. And but they only managed P5, making you know, too many aggressive moves that just didn't work. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, we are now ready to collect our prizes for the Manufacturers Championship. We get 4 individual prizes based on different rankings. Firstly, within our town, I was 1 of 1. Within the state, I was also 1 of 1. So we get 300,000 credits for both of those. We get 1 for our ranking within the manufacturer, ours being Dodge. We get in the top 25%, so that is 450,000 credits there. And finally, within Asia/Oceania, we get the top 75%, so nothing too special there. But anyway, yeah, it has been a lot of fun doing these Manufacturers Cup races. Nations up next. That will be well, the first race has actually already happened at the moment of recording. But anyway, I'll get to editing that very soon. But yeah, for now that's going to be it. I did actually look up the rankings for the other manufacturers, and I found out something kind of interesting. If I had signed up with any other manufacturer and scored the same number of points, that being 22 points, I would not have been in the top 25%, with the exception of, I think, Mitsubishi. Every other manufacturer, you needed a lot more than 22 points to get into the top 25%. So we're very lucky that we chose Dodge. But yeah, I might try something different next time. We will see. But that is going to be it for this one, so I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Please feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It's always very helpful. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye.